for us to use the scientific notation correctly, we need to put some numbers for the explanation. First of all, if we have a number, let's say 10 to the third, we have to put a 1 and 3 zeros. These three represent the zeros that the number have. Then, if we have 10 to the 9, we have to put a 1 and 9 zeros, so it belongs to the number. But what if we have a larger number, so maybe a 10 to the 100? So in this case, we name it Google. So it is more simplified and more easy for the students to understand the capacity of the number. But in a more largest case, we have the Googleplex. The Googleplex is a large number that it represents like 10 to the 10 to the 100. So it's a lot of zeros. An example of this. The mass of the sun is 2 and 30 zeros. How will we do it? So we have to put 10 to the 30, okay? But here's a 2. So it's 2 times 10 to the third. In the other hand, in the negative way, we have 10 to the minus 1. This will give us, instead of a multiplication, a division. So we have to do 1 over 10. This gives us an equal of 0.1. So in the negative 10 to the minus 2, we have to multiply 1 over 10 plus, times 1 over 10. This will give us 0.01. So the number will be decreasing. The same happens in the 10 to the minus 3. Is 1 over 10 times 1 over 10 times 1 over 10. This will give us 0.001. So one example of this is the mass of a proton. The mass of a proton is 0.25 zeros and following 167 and 3 kilograms. So how will we put this into a simplified version? Easily, we have to put 1.673 times 10 to the 27, to the minus 27. So it has 27. Moving on to the metric system, we have very different prefixes, such as giga, mega, kilo, centi, milli, micro, or nano. These are represented by some symbols. For example, giga is represented by the letter of G, mega from the M, kilo from Q, centi C, micro from a Greek letter that means mu. This has a power, such as giga, the G, has the power of 10 to the 9. So the factor is 1 and 9 zeros. Some example of how to use these prefixes, we have to have a unit. So gigabytes, the ones that we have in the computer or in the laptops, and mega. Mega is have a power of 10 to the 6. So we have 1 and 6 following zeros. One example of this is when we take a picture, we focus on the megapixel. These are the positive prefixes, and moving on to the negative prefixes, we have centi, milli, micro, and nano. For example, milli, the little m, we have 10 to the minus 3. So this is an example that we just saw here. So it's 0.001 because it is 1 divided by 10 and times 3. So the example is millimeter, and we have a unit that is meter. We have millimeter, micrometer, nanometer, and these are example of some. To sum up, let's take a human hair, for example. What is the length, the width of a human hair? It's around 17 and 180 micrometers. How do we write this? Okay, we go to the table and we see that micro is a Greek letter, mu. So it is a figure just like this. And a micrometer is this letter with the M. This represents the micrometer. So we transformation. I use a transformation to you to see how much is it. 180 micrometer is exactly 0.18 millimeters.